Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Political Progress. Today, I'm joined with the Mayor of Russell, Mike Tarnowski. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jade. It's a pleasure to be here and doing great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And to start today's interview, we were wondering, what are your goals for the township of Russell?
Sure. So that's a good first question. Russell Township is in full expansion mode, much like Clarence to Rockland is right now. And so we're experiencing a lot of growth. So really, I think the biggest priority for us is to make sure that that growth is responsible, meaning, there's a lot of residential coming in. Also, we want to make sure that we don't just rely on residential growth to pay for added infrastructure. So we're pushing a lot, growing our commercial and industrial tax base. So that's a big priority. And one of our largest priorities right now is our new rec complex that's being built.
Yeah.
We started that just this past year and expecting to finish that in 2026. It will be the largest capital project ever in our municipality. So we're very excited about that.
Well, that's great. And what are your plans to encourage more commercial growth in the area?
We have an economic development officer. We also have a community health development officer. And so, the idea there is just to really support that growth. Our community is very close to highway access, very close to larger urban areas. And so the industrial piece is growing quite well. There's quite a bit of demand for that. So really it's more about capacity development for us and to ensure that we're growing in a responsible way around that.
And do you guys have any programs or activities for the youth in the area?
Sure. So we have the rec complex that's being built. That's a major one. In terms of youth, we've had an explosion of residential growth as well, and so as such, we do have a fair bit of youth programming. The township does a lot of the youth programming, but we also have organizations that support that. So we have a very large soccer organization that runs soccer. I think they had over 800 young people playing last year, and they're expecting more again this year. So we rely on some of those organizations to support us. And so our two main villages, if you want, are Russell and Embrun. And so within those areas, there's a lot of organized activity. And we have arenas, obviously, and with the schools, there's all kinds of programming that goes with that as well.
Well, that's great. And are there any events that would be coming up in the next few months?
Sure. So we have I think my favorite is the Meet Me on Main Street. So we do these events. It's called Meet Me on Main Street. We have one in Marionville. Marionville is an interesting little community because it's really split into three municipal areas. So part of it is the city of Ottawa, part of it is Russell Township, and part of it is in Dundas. And so we do these Meet Me on Main Street, and they take up the whole street. Local vendors come in, local municipal services are presented there as well. And so I believe we're also doing one in Russell as well, in Russell Village this year. So those are big ones for us. And it's great because it's a great opportunity to meet our residents, a lot of new residents coming in as well. And I think that's a really important part for us as well. I talked about community development here earlier on. And I think for us, it's like to keep that small town feel, even though we're growing. We want people to feel that they're in a village atmosphere. You go to the grocery store, the people, you might be going to pick up 2 or 3 things, but end up staying there for an hour because you met all these people and you're talking to these people. So we want to keep that. So we're really working on trying to maintain that, even though we are growing.
And earlier you briefly mentioned the recreation complex that's currently being built. How much funding went into that?
So it's the project itself, from start to finish, is going to be about $105 million. So that $105 million, a lot of the kind of down payment, if you want, if I use the analogy of buying a home, if you want, a lot of the down payment comes from development charges. So all the new residential, anytime a new home is built, there are development charges that have to be paid for the infrastructure, including recreational libraries and so on. So a big part of that financing comes from that for the down payment. We've also had a program at the municipality already since 2018, because this has been a project that's being talked about ever since the late 90s, to do something like that, to have the pool and so on. And so in 2018, we finally decided to put a financial plan together. And so already there was a small increment of tax increase that went in every year, and it's been compounding since. And the idea behind that very small tax increase was to make sure that residents didn't get like a sticker shock when the project got started or when it was finished.
Okay.
And so that allowed us to raise a fair bit of money, and that by the time the complex is open, will have generated enough money for the down payment, as we say, but also to run the operation on an annual basis. So residents won't feel a difference in 2026. Sorry, in the fall of 26 when it opens, there won't be like a big shock. All of a sudden we have to pay, an extra $50-$60 of taxes or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that.
Well, that's great. And what services will be offered there?
Sure. So the rec complex itself, is part of a bigger kind of recreation area that we have. So right now we've got a dome with a walking track, a soccer field, some pickleball, and a gym.
Yep.
We also have a fully accessible outdoor park, Parc Jonathan Pitre, which we're very proud of as well. We've got some courts out there for tennis and basketball, and so the rec complex will be connected to that. And in the rec complex, we'll have 3 ice surfaces, so 3 arenas, a large pool, and a community center. So again, the idea is almost to have a campus feel where you have a central for community to gather. And it's strategically placed as well, not exactly in the middle, but it is between the villages of Russell and Embrun along our trail. We have a nice outdoor trail there. So it's perfect for people to be able to come on bicycle, by walking, or by car and so on. And it really brings the villages together, which we're very excited about.
Well, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the provincial government gave a funding of $26.5 million for the expansion of elementary schools.
Yep.
How will that funding be put to use?
Well, so that's important to understand. So the municipality doesn't receive that.
Okay.
This was given directly to the school board to build the new school, which we're very excited about. And obviously that demonstrates that there is a demand. And so we're excited to see that new school come about in Russell. There is, like I said, there has been a fair bit of growth. I can tell you between 2018 and 2022, our population exploded by about 18%. So if you think about that, out of 10 residents, 2 of them were new, almost 2, 1.8 if you want.
Yeah.
Were new from the past 4 years. And so we have a lot of new people, and so there is demand for more school spots. There is demand for these recreational facilities and so on. We're also seeing some new retail coming in as well. We're going to have another grocery store coming in eventually. So it is, that growth is coming in. You were speaking about the 26.5 million for the schools.
Yeah.
We are, however, having said that, we are actively working with our MPP and our MP to secure additional funding for our rec complex. So there is a program with the Ford government right now to help support infrastructure development, specifically geared for recreational complexes. And our MPP, Stéphane Sarrazin, has been a great advocate for us, supporting us to try to get access to this funding. So we're waiting with fingers crossed right now. We've applied for it. And hopefully sometime this spring we find out that we'll hopefully get some good news around that. So,
yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, it would be fantastic.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And what are some additional fundings you're trying to get to work on more projects?
Sure. So obviously, as we grow, there is a lot of need for infrastructure. A lot of people typically don't think about, what's under the roads. A lot of people worry about the roads, especially this time of the year, because they do get bumpy. But the infrastructure below the roads has to get updated and so on. So right now, we just received some funding from the provincial government to work on some of our expansion of roads. We have some new roundabouts coming in. I know here in Clarence-Rockland, you've got a few of them, and that's a popular way of managing traffic flow. And so we're getting some support from the government to develop some plans on some of the new kind of. We have the main road, as all villages had in the past, but because we're growing, some of the additional roads that are coming out there. So we have this 300 that's going to be receiving some roundabouts as well. So that's some of the funding that we receive for that. We're going to be under major renovations in 2020, summer 2025 and 26 of our main artery in Embrun itself. All the piping underneath and the main road, is going to be redone. So that's going to be a few headaches for sure. But it is something that needs to be done, and we're excited because while we're doing that, because we have to do that, we're also taking advantage of redesigning the roads to make sure that they're as practical and as efficient for today's society as opposed to what they were originally designed for. So adding a lane, so Russell as well is going to get I think 2 street lights now. Which is new for Russell. They've never had any street lights. So again, this is we're growing. So that's what's happening.
That's great. Those are all the questions I have for you today.
Great. Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. And thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Political Progress. Please subscribe to YouTube channels and follow our social medias for more news.